TV, the joy and the pain, and the Joy and the Pain podcast is live now on the TalkSport network. So thanks for all the listeners as well as all our regular viewers. Right then, today we're talking to Walsall Supporters Trust, and here he is, Neil Ravenscroft. Hi, Neil. Thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
You've been following Walsall for a long time, I guess.
Now this is going to be a difficult question. It would have been about 1958.
1958.
Yeah, it's one of those complicated stories. My father at the time was a referee. No booing, please. I was also secretary of one of the local football leagues, the Bloxwich Combination. So he had an invite to go into the director's box for some game or another in about 1958-9. And I sat in the director's box. And that was the first time I ever went there.
Oh, so you started at the upper echelons.
Oh, yeah. Then we went downwards after that, yeah. But we used to live in Bloxwich in the northern borough up until that time. And then we moved down to the Plec. So with him being a referee, of course, he was busy on a Saturday afternoon. So the only way I could get to football was walk round the corner to Fellows Park. So that's how it all started. So
who was your favourite player, your first favourite player?
Oh, Colin Taylor, I think, at that time.
Cannonball Taylor, wasn't he?
Yeah, the one and only, yeah. Left twice, came back twice, yeah. Equalised goal scorer, wasn't he, in the league? Oh, wonderful player.
Oh, Colin Taylor, we've heard lots about him. It was before my time, but
most of mine will be before your time.
So, on our channel, we talk about the joy and the pain. You've probably seen lots of joy and pain, haven't you? What's your best memories?
Not so much joy, but mostly pain.
What's from years gone by? What's your favourite moment and perhaps least favourite moment?
Oh, you really do pick the hard ones, don't you?
Well, that's the way I roll.
And the favourite moment was probably the Milk Cup win at Highbury in 1984.
Oh, yeah.
When we actually played Arsenal off the park. Yeah. We beat them by playing football. I mean, I've seen us beat top flight teams before that, not playing football. Stoke City away in 1966, January the 8th, engraved on my memory. But we didn't play much football that day, being down to 10 men. But Highbury, we did. We literally played them off the park. I know somebody who was in the director's box, and he said some very high official from the FA spoke to him and said afterwards, you couldn't tell which was the top flight team. He said you could. It looked like Walsall, didn't he?
But I think in recent times, Walsall's passing style has sort of disappeared. So hopefully Matt Sadler is going to bring that back, we hope.
I got my fingers crossed. There were signs of it during the last 3 games of the season. I must admit that he was trying to get back to a football playing style. And it's something, my generation are used to, especially during the Alan Buckley era of course. Well, still weren't terribly successful because we were always not quite making it. But we did play football.
You'll probably recall this. The Walsall quite often have the season split in 2. We'll have a good half and a bad half.
Yeah. Or an incredibly bad January and February. And then maybe turn up a little bit at the end. Yes, but it's very much like that, yeah.
I suppose last season it was a bit like that. We started off bad, had a good spell, and then went bad again.
Yeah, I'll never quite put my fingers on why either. The reason we started off bad, I couldn't understand a lot of the complaints. We brought in, 19 new players?
Yeah.
It takes an awful long time to get that to gel and to work properly, and then it did start working. Then we lost Johnson, of course, when Mansfield refused to sell him to us for anything remotely resembling a reasonable price, and it went down after that, but the style of football seemed to change as well. I'm not sure where Flynn was going with it, what had happened, what went wrong.
Just Flynn's way, I think. Flynn just likes to go for the 1-0 to the Arsenal kind of style. Back to the wall.
We've had one or two in the past who've actually been pragmatic. I mean, Dean Smith was a very pragmatic manager, but he knew how to play football as well. I mean, it was, your first job is to stop them scoring, but the next job is to make sure you do,
and get the ball in their half.
Balance there somewhere to be struck. Yeah.
What would you say is your lowest moment as a Walsall fan?
Oh, God, there's been a few of them. Most of them are actually probably off the pitch. Going back to this will come up again how we get started in these things. Many moons ago, I used to do some voluntary work whilst a student with it was organised by Barry Blower, the one and only.
Oh, Barry Blower.
So some of the lowest moments were getting involved with the St. Walsall Action Group and Barry, despairing about how we were ever going to find a way out of the situation of Ken Weldon trying to take us to either Molyneux or St Andrews.
That's
much against everybody's wishes, yes.
Yeah, that was.
It looked bleak at the time, very bleak at the time.
Yeah.
There's times, and then of course, when Ramsden went bust, and that was equally bleak, I suppose, as well. You didn't see where we were going to come back from then.
The Terry Ramsden era, we sort of thought we were heading for greatness, didn't we? And then it all sort of.
Well, if you hadn't tried to fiddle the taxman quite as much, we might actually, but having ended up in the nick, we were in the trouble, weren't we?
That's it.
I'm reliably informed we were the last thing he sold, and in fact, in the end, he sold the club after his racehorses, and of course, racing was his first love. So who knows? Who knows what might have happened?
Was he hoping it was turned round, was he?
Oh, no, who knows? I think he was in great imponderable men of history, Terry Ramsden, but there you go.
Yeah. I think one for me that you'll probably like was beating the Albion 4-1.
Oh, it was a glorious day, I must admit. It
was a lovely sunshiny day. It was the day before I got married, that was.
It was blisteringly hot, as I do remember. But all the Albion fans, I'm in a quiz team with 3 Albion fans, and they continue to tell me, of course, they did actually score the goal that day that I had us relegated. Because we went down on goal difference by 1 goal. And if it had been 4-0, we'd have stayed up.
That's very spurious, but
no, they have to do something, don't they?
Well, the thing is, I think we talk about Save Walsall and all that sort of stuff. There's, I think Albion and Wolves are both struggling financially, aren't they? From what we hear.
Well, Albion seem to be in a right mess. Wolves are certainly, from the reaction of Lopetegui, doesn't seem to be very pleased with the management of the club at all. And if they can't give him anything to stay in the Premier League, there's nothing going. Leicester, after the tragedy of the helicopter crash and having to fix all the finances out between his son, they've had no investment, and down they go eventually, having won the league, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
So, stand still, you go backwards, which is half the trouble with football, to be quite honest with you.
And the thing is that our Walsall, I think Walsall are sort of improving, but are we improving quick enough?
I don't know. I think the proof of the pudding will certainly be the eating with that one. I mean, the signs are there at the moment. A lot of the real proof is going to be what happens next season, that we actually see some of the improvements made.
Yeah.
Take effect. Otherwise, we'll start despairing again.
I think most people are probably a bit underwhelmed by the Matt Sadler appointment. Where were you on that?
I am totally oblivious to any of his feelings one way or the other. You can't tell unless you've actually done the interview yourself and spoke to the people. And I must admit, some of the names that people were coming up with who they'd like were sort of 14 million times up in the sky. I mean, it gets ridiculous. In some ways, what they're actually talking about, the open letter that the co-chairman, or we have to call him the chairman now, don't we, Mr. Boycott, sent round. I thought Sadler would actually fit in more with what they intend for the club. Because he's a fresh face. And I am not one of these who wants to see the same old names turning up and managing clubs over and over again and failing over and over again. And you wonder if anybody's given them a job this time round.
Well, I think, was it, what's that? Jan Malby, was it? No, not Jan. Jan Sorensen. Jan Sorensen, when he came in as manager. He was talking about all the managers keep getting fired and then they get a brand new job the 2 weeks later, sort of thing. And again, you could say the same with Mike Flynn. Flynn, as much as people might like him, he ain't done a great job at Walsall. And within a month, he's got another job.
At Swindon, yeah. strange. I mean, a lot of people talking about Ian, wanted Ian Holloway. I don't know why, because I think he's funny, I think. But he's got a 35% win rate as a manager. I think, hang on a minute. We want. I think even you have to say, look at the division this week. Bradford got Mark Hughes in. Great. Bradford get 18,000 home games, and they should walk this league. Shouldn't be any problem at all. And then they didn't make the playoffs even, so you do wonder.
That's it. We didn't make playoff final. No, that's it. Yeah.
Weird.
Oh dear. Hang on, we've got. I've just got a comment here. I've got to just drop in before we get onto the trust. Hang on. With a small cash insert from Elijah Promotion, I guess a few agents have approached Walsall.
If we know what the catch injunction is from good old Elijah. I could go on a rant about Elijah Adebayo because the number of people when he arrived were actually going to, oh, he's rubbish. I was going, he's got some of that, lad. I was right. He's now a Premier League player.
Well,
there's too much speculation about what was ever in the contract. There would have been a clause in there for if he got promoted in the Premier, but nobody knows how much he is.
Well, Lee Pomnett said it's if Luton get promoted, it'll be the best deal Walsall have ever made.
What's the best deal we ever made up till now?
It's not very good. Rico Henry.
No, $1.5 million, they reckon, but that is they reckon. The only we know for sure is I think David Kelly and was about 750,000, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's got to be better than that, unless he's only talking about things like sell-on clauses.
Yeah. As far as sell-on clauses.
Yeah, the sell-on clause we wanted was, of course, somebody to buy Rico Henry for a lot of money, which looked like being the case at one point. Can't win them all.
And we got some people who've joined us live, so let's have a look. Do you think Walsall would benefit from a smaller squad? It's easier to build form, or do you think a bigger squad give players a rest?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually think the squad was far too big last season. I think that was part of his problem.
Yeah, he didn't know how to play, did he?
No, they were playing that never got a sniff. Yeah,
you've got to have some cover in there. You've got to have some cover in there, but again, you got to keep everybody involved, haven't you?
And at our level, some of that cover should be the youngsters as well. Maya didn't, he's the young player of the season.
Well, Danny,
was he?
Well, the on the announcement they said he had 15 appearances, but I don't know where they got that 15 from.
I'm sure it's only about 4 starts. The rest probably ran on for a sub.
No, but he didn't get any starts.
No.
I
thought
but yeah, you're quite right. You should be filling in. I think he got the starts in the JPT, didn't he? I think.
Yeah. It wouldn't have been not league starts. Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I was talking about in general terms. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. I mean, you got to have enough cover, but I mean, squad of 16, 17, 18 is probably enough. Yeah. Yeah,
as you say, you've got to make up the cover from young players coming through. But we just haven't got enough young players coming through. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge disappointment, that is, considering how well we've done in the past bringing on young players. Even if they've never gone on to a higher level, we've at least had enough to fill in, which we haven't at the moment.
No. I've been told not to mention Shay Willock anymore.
I don't think I've ever seen him play or one thing or another.
But I saw him. I saw it. He was in the LFE trials recently with the other released academy players, and scored 2 lovely goals. So he puts the ball in so nonchalantly. It's like he's not the slightest bit bothered. He just puts the ball away.
That reminds me of somebody. You're on about favourite players actually, because another one of mine right at the start, by about 6, is Alan Clark.
Alan Clark,
I saw him as an 18-year-old on that pitch at Fellas Park. He strutted around with such an arrogant look in his face as if he owned it. He didn't care.
Just knew how to put the ball away.
Yeah. What he can do really, really well.
Yeah. I'd rather we take on many low. The quality is good, and I'm okay with it. But if
well, last year we had 2, didn't we? And Johnson and Bennett. You can't get much better quality loan than that.
No, that was very good.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a memory. Tommy Coakley.
Oh, who?
Tommy Coakley.
Yeah, exactly. Who?
I know, yeah.
He hadn't managed in the league at all. He was a manager in a non-league team. Came in, took it up. So when people say, "Oh, they want a big name," or they, running down appointing Matt Sattler, that's what I mean. If he's the best man for the job, it doesn't really matter. I think Coakley helps prove it. On the other hand, Paul Merson helps disprove it. But
then, yeah.
We won't go into that.
Hang on, what's the? We got 600,000 for Kelly, and then we bought Dale Banton.
Yeah, bought Dale Banton in instead.
Dale Banton.
Dale Banton, of course, he's another one of those wonderful people that we've had several over the past that scored goals wherever they went, except here.
Well, I can remember when we got Dale Banton, he'd been playing for Oxford, and they were a team that was struggling. And it was like, if he scored that many for a struggling team, how many is he going to score for us? And then we realised that the reason they were struggling is because he played for them.
Yeah. When he got who's it? Ex-Swindon, Ipswich. He scored goals wherever he went. Had bags of them. The one who's on the team, pundit on the EFL stuff now. Name's going here.
Parkin.
Yeah. Scored goals like he was going out of style
Parkin.
until he got to here.
I remember the one player was Elliott. What was his name in the 90s?
Steve Elliott. Yeah.
Steve Elliott. He only ever scored at home, didn't he?
Yeah.
All the home fans thought he was great, and then he never ever scored away.
He probably was a good player, actually. We'll see. Yeah.
Was it the right decision to release Liam Kinsella? What do you think?
Oh, shall it be really, 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 really controversial? I think Comley's a better defensive midfielder, and we can't afford to have two in the squad. So, yes, I think it probably was the right. He could go and make a good career somewhere else, but I don't think we could hang on to both. I think, and towards the end of the season, I think Comley was looking a better player.
Yeah, Comley improved. At the start of the season, I wasn't impressed with Comley at all, but
he scored in the first game.
He did. But he improved. He improved as the season went on. On a fan chat we had, I can remember Darren Fellas saying, "Do we get promoted with Kinsella in the team?"
No. 252 appearances, is it 4 goals? Says a lot.
Yeah. And now hardly any assists either.
No. So
Month, I think Month would have been offered a contract. I think he's signed elsewhere, I think.
I have another theory about that as well. I know that's the case, but I think I know another bit of thinking. I've got a feeling he might want to go and play 4-4-2, in which case he's got 2 centre-backs. Why does he need another one that he's paying that much money for?
Yeah.
McKenty and Daniel's concerned. Oh, I was looking at the phone's ringing. McKenty. Hopefully the one. Yes, she has answered it. McKenty and Daniel's the first choice centre-backs then, aren't they? The way that McKenty looks at the moment in any case. And then
McKenty.
Left-back's more important.
Oh, definitely. McKenty, we were wondering whether he's going to move forward into the midfield, or do you think that was just temporarily?
Oh, I think that might be temporarily, but if you've got a player who can play more than one position, which he can, of course, that it's back to you've got Comley, he can play in central midfield. Do you really need Kinsella as well?
Yeah.
I think he's looking to play 4-4-2, in which case he'd be looking more some wide players, and he'd be looking at proper left backs and right backs rather than wing backs. That's why I think White went as well, to be quite honest, because he's no good as a right back. No,
I think we need some tricky wingers and some more strikers. So use the budget on some good wingers and some good strikers.
Yeah, can we get that one from Wrexham? Oh no, we had him once. I mean, what is Anthony Ford doing playing for Wrexham in the? I mean, have they bought that league or what? There's about 6 of their squad. They should be playing in the first division, never mind the second division.
It's all about the money.
Yeah, I know.
It's all about the money. Right then, we need to talk about the Supporters Trust a little bit. How did you get involved with the Supporters Trust?
It was probably which batch of Bonser hating was it? And I mean, during one of the many times we were extremely disaffected with the reign of the late owner, and I went to various meetings and ended up joining the trust because I got fed up with the attitude of a certain group of the fans who tried to organise themselves to protest, but thought the protest was to actually sit in meetings and take the pee out of whoever was sitting facing them rather than actually asking awkward questions. Yeah. Like Roy Wally used to suffer at their hands because they thought it was a huge joke. I'm sorry, I think if you're actually trying to make points to people, it shouldn't be a huge joke. You should be trying to get proper points across, So, yeah, I got involved in the trust at that point, mainly because lots of people seem to be, it's quite well run at the time. Not enough members, but then again, we never have.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to increase the membership. I think. Tell us what's the history then of the trust?
I think, well, it's basic point of any of the supporters trusts is to get proper representation for supporters on the boards of football clubs. Always has been, and of course there to carry, as I said before, carry the buckets around if the worst came to the worst. I mean, several supporters trusts have taken over clubs and then sold them on afterwards just to keep them going. Portsmouth, they did, didn't they? Didn't they Wrexham at one point? I'm sure they did, didn't they?
Probably.
Yeah, they did. I think they were involved in running Wrexham at one point. So I think it's vitally important that people realise that, marches outside the ground and holding up banners saying sack the board only go so far because actually you've got no power to sack the board. Only the chairman or the owner can do that. So really you've got to try and get some influence by making sure you have enough people approaching them and trying to act as a good old, a friend of the club, but one who's going to tell them when they do things wrong, than actually trying to make it an antagonistic thing. I don't think
that's it. I think it
doesn't work.
It's about doing it in the right way, isn't it?
Exactly.
And the trust have an affiliation with the club, an official affiliation with the club.
Yeah.
I think we do have the Graham, the supporters liaison officer. But I mean, for me, the role of the trust should be to take all supporter issues, and then the trust will then direct them to the correct person responsible.
Yes.
That's the way it should be done.
I have to say, quite like Graham, and he's a nice bloke and all the rest of it, but somebody in that position shouldn't be an employee of the club. No. It should be going through a recognised body who can raise these issues with you directly, that people can join and make sure their voices are heard. The voices won't be heard by going to somebody who's a member, not only actually an employee of the club, he's on the board now, not executive member of the board, but he's on the board.
He's Liam Public's mate, isn't he?
Far be it from me to. I'm not going to criticise Lee Public. I went to school with his cousin.
I like Lee, actually. I do like Lee.
I've met him 2 or 3 times. And I'll say in his favour, that's one of the first things he did when he bought the club, was actually came and spoke to the trust. He actually turned up at one of our meetings and sat there and let us quiz him for 2 hours.
Yeah, the thing is, he does have people who knock him, but he talks, he's there and he's available for people, and he talks to people.
He's not coming.
The other guy, Mr. Bonser, didn't.
Well, there we go. I did get banned by him once anyway. So I was at a game when somebody was chanting about holding up the Cyprus things and chanting about it. And somebody who didn't know what was going on said, "Well, that's about." I said, "Well, the guy think he spends all his money on a villa in Cyprus," and they actually put it in the front page. Front page I was doing for up the Saddlers when it was proper Up the Saddlers before it turned into what ridiculous thing it is now. And he banned me for that because he said I was
inciting.
Somebody asked me, I was explaining to him, and I says, "This shows that the club is not getting their communication across to people at all if they don't." And he just misunderstood completely. So I ended up having a meeting with him, and a long meeting with, and he still didn't get it. He still didn't get what we were talking about. He
No.
didn't not understand. And he could say, yeah. His argument always was, my pension fund is my business. It's nobody else's.
Yeah.
And well, the answer to that, of course, would be yes. It wasn't the fact that our football club, that we have a huge emotional and financial interest in as individuals, has an interest in what goes on with your pension fund, because we're paying £400,000 a year rent to it, and he didn't get it. He just didn't understand it. It's my football club. It's my business. No, we have all got an emotional and financial investment in it as fans. We pay however much it is every week to go.
I think
it's money we can't afford. It's an emotional thing that we actually pay into it. We love the football club. Some people live and die by the football club. No, he just didn't get the idea at all.
Yeah, I think a friend of mine, Adam, always refers to it. Says they're not the owners; they're the custodians.
Correct. You couldn't put it better. I'll remember that one. I'll use it myself.
Yeah, Adam. Anyone else been to Cyprus? Macris, that was some dodgy deal, wasn't he?
I can't work that one out at all. If it was a dodgy deal, I don't know what the dodge was.
Well, I think we paid a big fee for him.
Well, we certainly did. Yeah.
But did that fee go to the club or go to Olympiacos or wherever it was?
Or wherever, or an agent.
I think that money ultimately went into somebody's pension fund.
Yeah. Who knows? I'm not going to make any accusations.
No, that's it. That was all allegedly, as we say.
Better. All right.
Allegedly, that happened. We wouldn't.
Like when West Ham bought those two players from Liverpool, and allegedly the £8 million they spent, only £2 million of it actually went, because the rest went to their agent, or the other £6 million. It was related to the then West Ham manager. No, that was all allegedly, and I'm not going to name any names.
I'm sure. The thing is, I think, in fairness with Jeff Bond, so this is my politically correct bit. As much as his mindset was probably wrong, everything he did was legal.
Certainly.
Everything he did was legal. It was just perhaps not in the best interest of the supporters' mindset for the football club.
Well, part of the problem was of course, because we've got the chair of the trust now, Trevor, is actually a pensions expert, and we got him on board originally because the whole issue was going to be that eventually, as Jeffrey aged, at that time you couldn't transfer your pension fund assets. So if you'd have snuffed it, the club would have to have been sold.
Huh.
No choice around it, because they'd have to realise the assets. So God knows what.
Of course, yeah.
So we actually spent either 3 or 4 years going around just about everywhere and everybody in sight, trying to raise enough money and get out of Jeff, by the way, a price, because he would never quote one. He quoted £5 million to the council, we know that, but he wouldn't quote it any price to anybody else. Anybody we got to 3.5 million once. We just couldn't get enough to actually get him to even speak to us, because he kept, I want to see the money on the table before I speak to you. So we moved heaven and earth to try and get something together to try and stop that situation. And then, of course, the government changed the rules, and now pension funds could be passed on to spouses and children. And he wasn't interested at all after that, because he knew it wouldn't be sold off.
Yeah,
he'd go, whoever he said it would in his will. But then he ended up selling it, I think.
I'm sure he did very well out of it. So, what do you make of?
I don't doubt that.
What do you make of Trivella? You say you haven't had.
I don't know. I look at some of the things they're saying. Some of it's very good and very positive sort of ideas. They know how to market stuff. That's really. So we haven't seen the results of that yet. They've had some guy over there doing a lot of work in improving the stadium experience, the match day experience. I think the whole thing about the Saddlers clubs coming to that as well. They're trying to look at how using that. If that all comes off, it's all nice. But the one thing is, of course, they're an investment firm. They actually encourage people to come in and invest their money with them, for which they will want a return. So the bottom line is they've got to make a success of it to be able to get some money back to pay the people who've invested, and it's got to be enough to keep us going at the same time. So until they actually see how these things develop, it's very difficult to say how it will go.
Yeah. The thing is, ultimately, investors want a return for their money, don't they?
Of course they will, yeah. Even though some of them are very rich investors. I mean, if the kicker for the Green Bay Packers, he probably is on a few quid a year.
Yeah, I'm sure
he's one of them, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it.
And this brewery and distillery.
No failure.
Yeah, they're another one.
Well, I think they're getting their beer in here, so that's paying that's their return, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that'll be not well. If they get into the British market, of course, it's a nice payback for them. So I understand why they're doing it. Yeah.
A worthwhile stake in the business to get that moving.
Yeah, but it's like, if you can attract enough of people to do that, though, is the positive thing that you'll have even more money that you can actually use, which could only benefit the club. Because football's about money now. It's the only thing that matters. I mean, it always annoys me intensely when they're going about how competitive the Premier League is. Is it? Apart from 4 teams that have won every year, there's only 2 other different teams won it. And that's Blackburn, who bought the league the year they did win it, and Liverpool, and managed to con 180 million quid out of Barcelona for Coutinho, and managed to invest it wisely and got Klopp in. Apart from, but the other one is Leicester, a total and utter fluke.
The craziest fluke of all that was, wasn't it?
I mean, at least 3 teams should have won it ahead of them. But apart from that, year after year, it's Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, and Arsenal, and has been since 1992. I'm one of these people when the whole thing about the European Super League came in, I was going, oh great, brilliant, let the 8 of them, whoever it is, bugger off, take the TV money with them, and we'll all sit down and start playing the game on a bloody level playing field again. When you can get Peterborough United go from the 4th to the 1st division in 4 seasons, when Ipswich can actually go up, when Nottingham Forest can get promoted from the Championship, win the top flight the next season, and win the European Cup the year after that. Nowadays, it's impossible.
Unless we include Luton, of course.
Well, yeah. Well, they have got a great centre forward.
So, what are Walsall going to do with the money from that then? What do you reckon?
It depends on how much it is.
One of my one Twitter comment I got was the investors will have that.
Nah, can't say it myself. They've got to have some results to be able to please the people who are investing in them. And those results, so it's not just about money. They've got to have some success to attract more money in to be able to pay people back. Sounds like a pyramid selling scheme, doesn't it? But you know what I mean. No, I think a lot of it will go back in at this stage anyway, because they've got a brand and a name to make before they start actually cashing in on it. Well, so hopefully some of it may have gone to making Danny Johnson an offer he can't refuse, but
I think
we've got a lot of other offers he can't refuse as well.
We got a question on that Danny Johnson one in a minute. I think for me, either paying down some of the mortgage would be one, but perhaps a better investment is released players from the Premier and Championship and hoping one of them turns into another Adebayo.
It's worked before, hasn't it? It's worked for other clubs as well.
Yeah. Just covering off a couple of questions here. Owen Evans, I think he did really well as keeper last year. Do we need a more experienced keeper behind him or a young guy? What do you think?
I'd probably think you need a better keeper than just, unless you got somebody really good in the academy coming up through the youth teams. I think you actually somebody with a bit more experience to keep him on his toes.
Yeah,
I think he shows a great deal of promise, I must admit. And I was quite surprised because Cheltenham didn't rate him, didn't they? I can't work out why they didn't.
They won the league with him as their main keeper.
Very odd. So yes, he needs something just to keep him pushed all the time. I think all players do anyway.
Yeah. Another question coming through from Stuart Bailey. Thoughts on youth players coming through our young Well, we haven't got many young players coming through. That's the problem.
No, exactly.
Only really Ram, Rico, Neil Tolson, Ricketts,
Neil
Martin Butler.
Tolson? Pardon? Yeah, for every one of them, you can have a genial Joe Mayo as well. So, it's the great disappointment, I think, over the last 3 or 4 years that the youth play team hasn't been producing players feeding into the first team.
No.
I think part of that might be, you actually say that squad last season was far too big as well. That actually would have hindered them. There's too many players that we're paying decent wages to are actually blocking the way for anybody from the youth team to actually get into the first team as well. Or into the squad.
Maddox and Cashman, they both limited Rowan Mayer development for the first team.
Yeah, I always think Maddox was worth a punt though, because I mean he comes from the Chelsea academy. He might have turned into another Adebayo. We've done it before. Unless Scott Dan came out from the Everton academy, didn't he? And look what he turned into. You know.
Yeah.
So it can work and has worked in the past, but Maddox has still got this thing about one day he's just going to turn into a world beater.
Yeah, to be honest, I was when we had our fan chat, the other guys were saying, yeah, keep Maddox, and I was sort of like, nah, I think I agree with letting him go, to be honest.
No, I'll probably do in the end. It's just that I've got that you always have nagging doubts every now and again.
He's not quite got there, had he? I think.
No, and the other thing is you got Hutchinson as well, who as a young player, and let's not forget he's still very young. He's only 23. I think he could be a class act. I think Derby fans were very disappointed when he left.
Yeah, I think more game time. I think another season, and Hutchinson's going to be a bit of a prospect for people, I think.
I think so, yeah.
If you look through, I looked through League Two, and if you look, other than strikers, there ain't many attacking midfielders that hasn't had as many goals and assists as Isaac Hutchinson. And
with a bit more composure, you get a lot more as well, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes he snaps at it too much, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's your desperation sometimes.
Yeah. Walsall lad is saying, what do you think of getting DJ back?
He's a good one, isn't it? How much do you want to pay for him?
The thing is, he's 30 now.
He's 30, I know. And let's face it, we haven't thought a hassle with Mansfield. I think it would have been a great piece of business so we actually agreed a fee for him in the first place, didn't we? And the chairman put it only on loan.
As I understand it, they'd agreed a fee.
Yeah.
And the deal was halted on the last minute by their chairman, who said no, turn it into a loan.
Yeah.
And then in January they tried to do a deal, but they tripled the price.
Yeah, exactly.
And Walsall said, get out of it.
And quite rightly.
Yeah. You
should not let yourself be held to ransom like that.
The thing, had an interesting chat with Barber's Now Best, which is a Leighton Orient fan. And he was saying, in all the time DJ was with them, he was great before Christmas and always fell away badly after Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? And of course,
so maybe we got the best of him.
And his best season was when he had Connor Wilkinson up front with him, didn't he?
Yeah.
They actually were a partnership, yeah. I don't know. For the sort of money he'd possibly held it out for, I don't know if it'd be worth it.
Well, he was already on, I think, $2,500 a week.
That's an awful lot of money for a second division play.
It is. The Connor Wilkinson was rumoured. Well, understand he was on $3,500 a week.
I know he's supposed to be he and Monday were supposed to be the highest paid players.
Donovan Daniels, I think, is on about $2,500 a week as well. Which for a centre half, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but he's worth every bloody penny. I actually started looking now like the player who was the captain of the Albion under-18s and was supposed to be the next big thing, and somehow he had 5 years where bugger all's happened. He's ended up with us, and I think he looks.
He's starting to get there.
Yeah, it's starting to get there now.
As you say, the key with DJ is to, like, if the money's reasonable, then yes.
Yes.
But I mean, it's not something you're going to chase, is it?
No, that's my attitude entirely.
It's not worth chasing.
I mean, he's a free agent now. It's up to him what he wants. And
He'll be going League One. He'll be going League One for $4,000 a week.
That's where I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, it's worth it. But I think that's more like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's about colours for the. That'll soon come out. We ain't worried about that.
Yeah, no, it's always red for the foot. I'm not one of these white ones, you know. I go back far enough. We always played in red. Well, I almost go back far enough to remember Clarendon blue, but we won't go into
that. I like the green and white checks, the Croatia top. I like that.
I always like those shirts, I must admit, yeah.
And then we had the Barcelona top, didn't we? The one.
Yeah, we had some nice backup shirts. Because I bought my 6-year-old grandson a Walsall kit for his birthday, of course, in December, and his mum really liked the black one with the electric green stripe running through it. So he got that one, the third strip one, 13 one last year.
Sean Southall's talking about whether we should invest in the youth programme.
We should be investing in the youth programme anyway, but
I think
the question.
I think the most bang for your buck as such is signing released Premier and Championship players.
The 16 to 18-year-olds, the ones who
I think the 18 to 20-year-olds, yeah.
Oh yeah, the one when they've been told you're not going to make it here. So let's face it, there was one at the Albion called Sawyers, was he? He didn't turn out too bad.
Romain Sawyers, yeah, he had a very good contract. Very good career.
Who's it from? He lives around the corner from me. Thinking Oxford Rangers. Released by the Albion at 18.
Is that Archibald?
No. This is when your brain starts going in life, isn't it? He's at Rangers now.
I don't know.
He went to Chuckery Junior School.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have somebody on the comments who'll tell us that.
Yeah, somebody's about to know.
Somebody's mentioned Shay Willock, but I think we've got to let Shay Willock go. I think I'm still amazed he hasn't got a contract, but still. Joe,
I don't know. I've never seen him play.
Well, he scored a lot of goals in. He was at Worcester Raiders rather.
I was going to say the Warriors are the rugby team, but
yeah,
would be in trouble there. He's getting a lot of points.
2 hat-tricks in the last 2 games.
I've seen that before. Non-league ain't quite the same, is it?
No, but it's men's football, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
What else we got here? Always exciting times. Wait till the end of the June for new faces and good old trialist A, B, and C.
Well, I remember one trialist A being called George Lighttow. So,
George Lighttow. Yeah, we could do some more.
Scored 2 in the first half. We took him off before anybody found out what his name was.
Yeah. DJ. I think at 30, another year. I think he's at his best. I think
he is, yeah.
I think he's at his best.
It's hard to, if you can get him at the right price, great. But yeah, I'd do it. But it's whether you can get him at the right price now.
Yeah. If you get any player that used to play for us, who would it be? Elijah Adebayo.
Oh, you know what we really miss? Of all the players, I mean, go back to Mick Bates. He played in the European Cup final, didn't he? And all the rest of them. Vinny bloody Samways. What we need is somebody who sits at the back and ping those balls at there.
Vinny Samways, yeah, I think.
Yeah, we want one like him. Yeah,
phenomenal player. And
we won't go on. Yeah. Pity he left. I think that might have had to do with somebody else.
Well, I think he was flying out from Spain every single for the game, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, I don't think Mr. Merson helped it.
They didn't like him.
I don't think, from what I understand, he quite liked him, or his antics, or his splitting the dressing room, various things like that. Yeah,
he certainly knew how to pass the ball, didn't he?
Oh God, yeah, and he always had time on the ball. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right then, what we just want to get on. Oh, hang on, we might have a name here. What's this?
Kemar Roof, thank you.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, that's it. He scored loads of goals for Oxford and Rangers. He scored a wonder goal for Rangers from inside his own half.
Well done, Stuart. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I ought to know because I'm a governor at Chuckery School, and he's Albion shirts on the wall because he came and opened the multiplayer area there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, teachers an Albion fan,
So what we'll say, what we need to say just before we close, if you're not a member of the Walsall Supporters Trust, tell them what they got to do, Neil.
Well, they can either visit the website where it will tell them what to do, which is actually it's not working at the moment. There's a post on our Facebook page if you can get hold of that, which tells exactly what to do, or you can email. Hang on, I'll have to get his address.
I think what would be best, Neil, if you send it to me and I'll put it in the description.
Well, it's Ray Dales if you got it.
Oh, Ray Dales. Okay, yeah. I'll put Ray Dales' email in there. It's only a £5.
Yeah,
isn't it? £5 for the year.
Yes.
And
we do direct. You can pay direct into the bank now. We have a bank account with the. No, I won't mention the name. We don't have any advertising. A certain online bank, so all these things are possible there. So Ray can actually supply the details. He's secretary, by the way. So if you put it on there, people can contact us that way.
And as we repeat, the main idea is we want to increase the membership, so have a bigger voice to talk directly with the club, and
hopefully one day have a say on the board.
And we all like Graham Whittaker to a point, but I think it should be the Walsall Supporters Trust in that position, not Graham Whittaker. That's what we'd be sort of pushing for. Right then. Walsall Fan TV, the Joy and the Pain podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody. Can you do the Joy and the Pain with us, Neil?
Oh, right. Oh.
Nice one.
Oh, no, more like...
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Cheers.